we look at these two here now. Set it wise again, very good, okay? So, as that club goes back, we'll sync these up together, okay? So, there's top of your back, so okay? Now, on the left-hand one, you do go a little bit further. There you go. But the knee's moved in a bit there. That knee is starting to kind of curve out here. He's staying a little bit straighter, which is good. Yeah. Now then, as we kind of drop down here by the frame by frame, too fast, sorry. Wasn't frame by frame, was it? That was quick, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay. Just look at the impact position there. Look at that right knee. Yeah. Okay. Look at the right knee.
Yeah. So going too far back, I'm not catching up.
Exactly. Now look at the right knee and look at your head. Your head's following the club. Look at the one on the right. The head's staying down. Okay. Yeah. That one there looks a lot more flow to me, and then through. Whereas the right hand one, your head's still down there. This on the right, you're like, so a lot of things are hanging back. Look at the right foot there. The right foot's on his toe. And then you're through to that nice full rotation, which you have anyway, which you kind of get there. But the right hand one now is just a little bit kind of delayed because that knee almost got like a bit of a squat there with your knee. Whereas you bring this one into impact here now. There's your impact. That's the difference in those knees. That one's kind of moving in that way, where this one's still kind of back there.
So it's oversetting the trigger.
Exactly. I think
you're
you've gone
not
back.
Going to catch up.
Exactly. You've gone back a little bit too far. Like I say, generally speaking, if you move too far this way with knee or hip or swaying, the club will generally come too far from what we call the inside out here. Now, with the hybrid club, you can just flip it and it'll be a big old whee, like 30, 40 yards offline.
That makes sense.
With your irons, you'll often hit the ground behind the golf ball and then just sort of shove it out to the right there somewhere. Okay? So if we can make the swing a little bit less going back in terms of how much you're moving, still turn and rotate fully, but your lower half is just support. Now, we said this before, obviously, a bit like you and I, because we've got tall guys, our lower half really plays an important part to stabilising the golf swing. Because we're top heavy. If we lose our balance or stability down here, we're falling over. So then the body's having to try and stabilise that all the time. If the lower half is working effectively, that for me is a much different change there. I mean, that there, head's looking there that way, whereas head's down here, the legs barely moving. I mean, that movement there. And that looks like a really powerful, good impact post impact position.
That was just that set in your head before you swung, like
and that's what I think. So we've got to try and think of in terms of the swing. There's an area we swing the golf club from. Okay, so this is where we hit the golf ball from. Okay, over here we do our thinking behind the golf ball, off the mat or on the grass behind the ball. Okay, and at this point behind that line, we're going right. Where do we want this shot to go? What club am I going to take? What's the lie like? Is it a good lie or a bad lie? Uphill or downhill or side hill? Is there wind into our face? The green above or below? Is it hard ground, soft ground? When are we going to land it? All these things kind of going through your head thinking, right, okay, so you work out the mat and you might have a situation, and a good example is on the third on the button here, right? So you've got a good drive, you've got 150. Oh, yeah, exactly. That's what I always use as an example, okay? Because people, if you actually, when you hear this kind of talk through, you'll be like, no wonder I screwed up. You're next to 150. So a 150 club for you is what, an 8 iron? 7 or 8 iron? So, okay. So you go, right, I don't want to go too long, I'll hit 1 club less, yeah? That's the usual kind of thing, right? Let's look at that hole, okay? It's 150 yards to the middle of the green by the 150 marker where you're positioned, right? It's 135 to the front. Green is 30 yards long, so 15 yards from the middle to the front, 135. Are we landing on the front of the green? No, we're landing at probably 10 to 15 yards back of that. So now we're looking at 120. It's a bit downhill. That's now 115. A bit downwind maybe. That's 110. And you're in the rough, potentially that right and rough, give it a flyer. 105. So now you're stood there, having done through all that, going, right, 105, okay, pitching wedge, gap wedge, hit a 105-yard shot. So a 105-yard shot will fly 5 yards further because of the downhill, 5 yards further because of the wind, 5 yards further because of the rough and the flying-ish lie. So now you're landing at 120. Now you're bouncing onto the green at 125, 130, and then you're triggering onto the front part of the green at 140. So although you might think it's a 150-yard shot, I'll take one club less. It's actually about 4 clubs less. And then 17 on the button, up Mount Everest. You buy the 150 and you're going, right, 150 to the middle. I've got to literally land it on the middle of the green, but it's landing earlier and it's uphill into a bit of wind. So now it's actually about 170. Something 6 iron up there.
That's enough. That's a
And
crazy.
that's a tough hole.
That's a crazy.
But you actually look at the
Yeah.
numbers, and the holes
Yeah.
that people really often struggle with are when they don't take into consideration how much to take on and add on with the distances and stuff.
Yeah.
So you got,
Yeah.
I got 150, that's a 7-9. Oh, I don't want to go long, I'll go 8-9. Mm-hmm. You hit an 8-9 there, you'll be splashing. You'll be one bounce doing in the water.
Yeah, yeah.
So you got to think, where's that ball going to first make contact with the ground? And realistically, even if you're like 20 yards from the green yourself and you just threw a ball in the ground 15 yards short, so only 5 yards in front of you, and just threw it down quite hard, it would bounce to the green. And there's no way you can throw a ball as hard as the ball is coming in from 100 foot up there from a golf club. It's going to be 100 plus mile an hour.
Yeah.
He is gone.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you look at that hole, you've got to really kind of start taking the numbers off and go, actually, I'm by the 150 marker, but it's a 105-yard shot.
Yeah, I'm usually the opposite. I'm always leave myself too short.
Yeah, you just get. Well, the thing is, what happens? You take an 8 and you get scared and you go, and you try and quit on it, rather than go, this is a full 105-yard shot and go bang, hit it. And commit to that shot. Yeah. And therein lies that stuff you have to start with this club. Anytime you're not committing to the shot, because most people play shots on the golf course when they hit them badly because they're trying not to do something, trying not to go long, trying not to go left. So we just see like you scared swings. Try not to go right, yank the hard left as we can. Big old slice out of bounds, brilliant. Try not to go long, tappy, take the wrong club too fast, fin it across the back of the green. So these are things we've got to try, but definitely for yourself there, Connor, in terms of that movement. I don't think so. Look at the good one. Okay. Good turn and rotation. Right knee now. Could potentially start a little bit, it's still a little bit static. Those foot. Now it starts kind of engaging, and now it's catching up. But if we think about it in terms of time, 2.2 on the clock there. It's starting at like 2.34 rather than 2.27. So it's not as if it's like miles out, but just going to start moving a bit more. The ones that you found that you've hit better or straighter sometimes is when the knee goes this way and when your balance then goes too far this way and you sometimes step into it. When you step into them, they rarely go left because you've moved your lower half too much. So you can't hook it. Generally, the hook shot comes from when this hangs back here, this hangs back, you stop and the club goes whoosh and it just flips over. And it's a big old snappy one, So
It's nearly as if you're falling back.
Exactly, Make sense?
Yeah.
Excellent, good stuff, mate.